SJC 12718, Bharani Padmanabhan v. Loretta Cook.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice. May it please the court.
You've got 10 minutes, sir. And you may proceed.
So we're here on a very simple, clear-cut constitutional separation of powers violation question and a First Amendment violation question, which is also a constitutional violation. A woman went to Methuen Police, her hometown police, and lied, filed a false police complaint, and declared that I was stalking her with a handgun. And Methuen Police investigated and found it was untrue and said, sorry, no crime has occurred. So I sued her for slander and libel, defamation, as an individual person to person, a civil slander case. And all of a sudden, the Attorney General showed up to defend her at public expense in Norfolk Superior Court. So I filed a motion to disqualify the Attorney General because it's a statutory violation, Chapter 258, Section 10C. It was an intentional tort. It had nothing to do with her scope of employment, and the defendant herself conceded that it had nothing to do with her scope of employment. And so the Superior Court granted my motion to deny her motion to dismiss on the slander claim. And the case is going to proceed to trial. But she continues to be represented at public expense by the Attorney General in this upcoming jury trial in violation of Chapter 258, Section 10C. And this court has ruled numerous times that Chapter 258, Section 10C is valid, is binding, is the law in the state. And in this case, it's a no-brainer. The court doesn't really need a neurologist to come and say, an intentional tort, a personal civil slander case, the Commonwealth shouldn't be paying for it. And if you look at the case law, there's a tremendous body of case law that says the executive branch cannot spend money on things that the legislature specifically banned the executive from spending money on. That's exactly what's happening here. Unfortunately, the Superior Court threatened me with sanctions for bringing up this point, and ruled that I had no business asking the court to strike these invalid motions from the Attorney General, and no right to demand that she be disqualified from representing this defendant in this private individual civil slander case. And so I filed an interlocutory appeal under Chapter 231, Section 118, and it went to the single justice in the appeals court, and it was denied within 48 minutes of filing, Judge Peter Sachs. And so I said, okay, then I probably should seek further appellate review. And it turns out there is no further appellate review available to these kinds of appeals, interlocutory orders and appeals, unless it was a stay order or an injunction. And so I filed a fresh petition in the county court under Chapter 211, Section 3. The county court dismissed it, saying it did not meet all four of the criteria required to be granted certiorari, and so we are here. So we have an individual person on her own time in her hometown who filed a false police complaint, which in Massachusetts is a crime which should be prosecuted. It's an intentional tort. And she's being represented at public expense in violation of the separation of powers of the Massachusetts Constitution and a specific state law, Chapter 258, Section 10C. That's the case.
Okay. If there are no questions, then thank you. And Mr. Sutliff, I gather you're going to be resting on your brief, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Unless the court has questions.